You
Yes.
want to tell me some about yourself, Paula, or?
Um, yeah, I don't get to talk to anyone about this stuff, and I don't know what to call it. Uh,
Mhm.
um, I think I must have had some sort of a shift because my life is, or I'm just, things are just different. Let's put it that way. But I'm probably still identified. I have been seeking, I guess, um, for about like, well, probably all my whole life, but like 15 years of starting to meditate and feeling like that was the first time I felt peace,
Wow.
like no thoughts or um and then realizing, oh, wait a minute, you mean I'm not those thoughts? Like what? Um, and then over the last 5 years or so, I ended up quitting my job as a speech pathologist. I don't know if you know what that is.
Mhm.
Yeah. And in the public schools for like close to 40 years, I just couldn't do it anymore. Because I just didn't, they kept telling me to stay out of to stay in my lane because I was just so um, wanting to work with kids' emotions and the way they express themselves. And it just wasn't, regression is what's valued. And, you know, the mask that you wear, and I couldn't, I just didn't feel like I could wear, I certainly have worn a mask, but I began to feel like an imposter. So I took compassionate inquiry as a professional training.
Wow.
If you know about with Gabor Mate,
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
yeah. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, I need to do my work. And I was just flooded with these emotions and trauma. And it was a year-long training, and it was the best thing I ever did, but it was very challenging too. And then I was listening to Angelo DeLulio. Is that a he's my main person that I listen to. I started to listen to you too. Uh,
Oh.
and I he mentioned focusing. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
Mhm.
He had Ann Cornell on, and so I looked into that, and it seemed to be shadow work to me, more shadow work, but in a very gentle kind of way. And so now I'm in the certification program there, and I work with people on focusing, and it just I keep saying to myself, is this awakening? Because I see what I'm not, like I see these parts,
Mhm.
and I'm with them, and I stay, through the emotion that I couldn't feel before. And um, there's this, they call it self in presence, but it's it's kind of a capacity is what it is to be with the emotions and to
Mhm.
know these coping mechanisms is really what they are. So right now, my coping mechanisms, I'm aware of them more and more, and they're not really, I can't rely on them. I can't disassociate anymore.
Yeah.
And so things are very different. Um, my relationship with my husband, my friends, with my two daughters, that's really improved. That I feel like um, that's been a really great thing. With my grandson, who's just going to turn 1 years old. So
Oh.
yeah, but it's just I'm very I I don't I I went on this, I want to call it a path or whatever. I went in this direction because I was kind of pulled there, and I was pulled there by a lot of suffering, but I didn't know I was suffering
Mhm.
till it was when I did compassionate inquiry. I was like, oh my God, that's what my thoughts are. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, criticizing myself so, you know, horribly. And
Mhm.
um, so yeah, that's that's where I am right now. And so when I heard your one talk, and I can't even remember the name of it, it was a recent one, and what you were saying was like essentially that you're this is not an escape, and but that we can be there with because I was in spiritual bypass for a long time. I was walking around thinking, oh, I'm like this spiritual wonderful person, and I ah, but yeah, so to be able to be with these difficult things, um, or with life, or even to be with joy.
Mhm.
That's what's happening now. But I'm just a little, I don't know, like I just went through like a really significant disorientation. Like, okay, so now where do I step now? Like what's my, you know, um, and I'm just, so if you can offer anything about more about that, if that makes sense,
Mhm.
um, I would love to hear your,
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Wow. Yeah, a lot of that is familiar, especially the spiritual bypassing.
uh-huh.
And I listen to Angelo a lot. I still do every once in a while. I recommend him,
Mm,
to others. There, I was listening to him when I realized I was spiritually bypassing.
yeah.
Yeah. And
And that's
started to what I like to call notice, you know, which he describes, which is just like you sort of calm down the seeking in videos and books and uh, looking for an idea or a belief to believe. And you focus on sense gates. So what is seen, what is heard, the sensations, and even being with thoughts, sort of like the witness state, some people call it,
Mhm,
like a one pointed, just sort of being the sky and watching the thoughts go by the clouds.
mhm.
Um, I spent probably like 6 months doing those practices. Um, and it was kind of like as if I was waiting for the matrix to break, like in a curious anticipation.
Yeah.
Um, and you learn so much doing that. Uh, and one day I just saw that I wasn't the thinker, that there was no thinker, that that I am assumption is a thought, you know. And it's actually a very simple and ordinary insight, you know. Uh, and I feel like for me, it's deepened in a way. Um, I saw through another layer of spiritual bypassing recently, a year and a half after I had the insight of no self, which was fascinating. Um, I made a couple of videos about that recently, sort of very subtly holding the concept of emptiness, you know, as an understanding,
Mhm.
and coloring the world with it a little bit and um, negotiating in a way where I think things like, well, who is there to do that? And, just trying to figure things out um, so I think the process is whole already, you know, the the journey is the destination, but um, the insight of no self, which we always talk about, like this ultimate goal, The process is before that insight and after, Um, have you tried those practices that Angelo?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah. And as long as it's because lately I've been saying, okay, what's here right now is this trying to figure it out, trying to understand it. And that's just a thought. And so
Hmm.
what if you don't have to try to figure it out? And that was a huge kind of shift. I don't know what to call it, but it was like, ah,
Hmm.
yes, I don't have to figure it out. And so like what I'm experiencing now is almost um like I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh, that's it. You know what I mean? Like, and then that's it. And that with without words is, and it's hard because that, that because then I'm thinking, oh, well, I'm trying to do that. So, you know what I mean? And it's so,
Hmm.
um, it's almost like it bounces back to that, I feel like they're like I'm here, but then I sometimes a lot of times I start to think about it and
Hmm.
know that I'm thinking about it. And I'm like, okay, well,
Yeah.
thinking's going to be here. That's okay.
Yeah.
I can be with that too. I can be with these strong emotions. I can be with that.
Hmm.
Um, it's really, I mean, it's mind blowing, literally.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
um, but I can't. Because I'm in this training, this focusing training, and so I can't help but make parallel
Mm.
connections to it because it's kind of helped me to kind of become more like less spiritually bypassed,
Oh
of
yeah. Yeah.
yeah, like I was really doing that. I was not staying with anything. And it was like this figuring out this manager who was just, has the answer to the problems and and if I don't, then I can figure it out. And that one has really,
Hmm.
relaxed a lot. And
Yeah.
it's
Well, what if they're not opposed to one another, so they can exist together? Maybe they are the same. The the practice, the shadow work, the being with and what may arise like trying, you know.
Mhm.
Um, what if that is it? You know? Um,
Yeah.
it seems like presence is contradictory to what arises in presence, but it's not. And
Mm.
when trying arises or noticing identification or stickiness, deep noticing for me helped me to see that it's just not what it looks like. It's not what you think it is. It isn't trying. It's, that unnameable presence expressing, playing, naturally uh being, you know, when it isn't actually. Um, so I think the more we can sort of, see a thought as a thought, we understand it's just a symbol of something that we don't really understand.
Hmm.
And it's that beautiful relative knowledge that helps us in subject object, and we need it.
Hmm.
It doesn't have to be negated.
Hmm.
Uh, it's not this or that, the black and white thinking that we tend to have as humans, just naturally and innocently. Um, but I feel like being with, like you said, is the best thing you can do. It's sort of like creating a fertile ground for those insights to dawn.
Hmm. Yeah.
So it's like ask the question and then allow it to answer itself, kind of thing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
There's nothing that can arise that can hinder those insights, including trying, I mean, you name it, spiritual bypassing,
Mm.
self-sabotage, all of that stuff is it. You know, it is valid.
Yeah. I guess I thought that these things would, this, I guess call it suffering, or, my own personal suffering, that it would stop.
Hmm.
And it doesn't stop. It just,
Yeah.
like I'll see that, um, what I these critical thoughts, they're coming up now and I'm seeing them. And
Hmm.
I'm saying, okay, I hear you. I don't have to agree with you or disagree with you. You
Hmm.
can just be here. Like I actually like talk to them like a parent does to a
Yeah.
child, and it really helps, but
Hmm.
that's like the process of focusing. And, at first I was really merged with those parts, those, that those
Hmm.
thoughts. And so now, like, I noticed this morning when I woke up, there was just kind of sadness, but it wasn't really attached to anything. It was just there, or like
Yeah.
anger. Yet last week it was like anger. I'm like, whoa, I'm really feeling anger here.
Yeah.
And it wasn't connected to anything in particular. There wasn't an outside trigger. There wasn't like a
Right.
narrative. It was just very weird. Very
Right.
weird, you know?
Yeah. Well, here too, I mean, I'll have grief will just come up and be here for a while. And I
Mm,
just got over a bout of that, so to say.
mm,
But ultimately, all of these things are causeless. I mean, you can't trace them back to anything. I mean, you can trace them back to trauma and things.
mm,
Of course, I'm not negating that at all, but um, ultimately, this is more a mystery than anything, you know.
mm.
And
That is,
those things can exist together. They are the same thing. The trauma, the story, the process, the maturing, and the causeless, timeless mystery.
mm,
That's what the mystery looks like. It looks like this, us having a conversation.
mm,
Um, the beautiful, innocent thoughts of navigating and trying to figure out. And, those things don't go away. We'll always have this feeling of choice and problem solving abilities. And, we get to have those things. It's, it's the beauty of life and story, and they don't evaporate. And yeah, we all have to face that belief that I believe that this is going to solve my suffering, or suffering will be no more. I'll do something correct and I will deserve a better reality. Um, and it can sound that way when you're listening to pointers like suffering will end. I mean, some teachers blatantly say that.
mm,
And it does in the way that you see that it never was actually. Like a certain aspect of this, it's just life being free. And in that way, life has no problems. It doesn't have problems with problems.
mm,
But on a personal level, things can arise that we don't prefer always until the day we die.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's a freedom there for that to say, I don't like this. Maybe I should talk to somebody or go take a bath or watch Netflix or
Mhm.
or whatever. So
Mm.
nothing changes, only our relative perspective changes.
Mm. And can you talk a little bit about, like, in an everyday kind of situation, how that does that perspective, like how it was for you,
Mhm.
perhaps, and then how it is now?
Yeah, so we'll just assume that everything is the same,
Hmm.
except for there's some qualities they're subtly different. Like I feel more in flow. Everything feels in flow, even when there's triggers coming up and like um full on frustration or overwhelm or something like that. Um, Strangely enough, even that feels like flow.
Hmm.
So the sticky thoughts when they come up, the intense emotions, which are more intense because there's no filters. Um, there's no anticipating them. So it's not like trying to prevent that from happening. So that's calm and neutral and, spontaneous. And
Hmm.
then bam, something just hits you.
Yeah.
Somebody said something the wrong way or something, and it brought some old stuff up,
Hmm.
for example. And then you just feel kind of like you did when you were a little kid, like just it just hits you like a wave, you know, the hurt, the
Hmm.
hurt that's in the nervous system. Um, so you just become that. There's nothing but that in that moment. Um, and it's almost like it's so allowed to be that and only that, that it moves through really quickly, much quicker than before. And this is just how it is for me. And then after it's like it never happened. So in that way, there's a difference. Yeah.
That sounds very familiar,
Hmm.
actually, too.
Hmm.
But, like, of course, there has to, like, there's still this, like, looking at it and analyzing it, I guess, because I feel things so much more than I did, because I think I was just not feeling anything.
Right.
I was just thinking, and,
Right. Same.
away from it, you know?
Right. We don't even know we're doing it. It's so unconscious.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
running away from how intense life is and, the sensations,
yeah,
body.
yeah, and getting hurt,
Mm.
because those things come up that, from years
Yeah.
ago, and you're
Hmm.
like, but then when, like, now when I'm hurt, I really do feel it, and I try to stay with it and say, well, this is what it feels like to be hurt. Like, it actually hurts my heart, you
Yeah.
know? And but you're right, it doesn't last.
Hmm.
It's not like there's a story built on it, and it's so that perpetuates it, right?
Yes, the story is like glue. It coagulates and like makes it a thing. But really it's just flowing energy.
Yeah, yeah. That's really helpful to hear that it's just flowing energy that was that I learned not to I learned to block it, and it
Well,
got.
yeah, naturally.
Mm, yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
we're taught when we're little babies, you don't do that, you do this. This is your name. This is your punishment for, I mean, you know better. And um, of course we're going to believe that.
mm,
you know.
yeah, yeah,
And not to say that we're victims. I mean, really we have to learn those things in order to
right,
be citizens and survive. We
right, yeah,
we need to learn those things to survive, but it is based on a false assumption that there is someone who can do that.
Mm.
So we're no different than a tree that goes through the seasons and bears fruit. And,
Hmm.
I mean, we're universal in that way. If I were in your shoes, I would do the same thing you did.
Yeah, yeah.
So the inside of emptiness doesn't really change anything, but it does balance, I would say, um, things. So you're able to discern between what's actual, the sound of my voice, you know, the feeling of the air on my hands, and what is imagined, what is a symbol of something real.
Mm.
So really to me that's you can just boil it down to discernment in that way. And there was a time where it took me a while, and I feel like I'm still going through it, where I'm having to process the emptiness because it's so empty. Like anything you look at, there's no one there, um, and everything that's said is meaningless.
Mm.
So, and that can be shocking when you've lived your whole life. Um, Believing in symbols and believing there's an entity here doing that, and there's an entity there doing that, and living with this dread of I have to make the right decision.
Mm.
Um, so it was like full on personing and then full on emptiness, and then there was a marriage of the two.
Mm.
And there's no reason to say who was there to say that, or you know Um, I don't think I'll ever talk like a radical non-duality person, even though I love the message. But to me, that it's one-sided.
Mm.
So we don't have to approach the emptiness and catch it and hold it. And it is this. It is this full, we get to do this. We get to have this conversation and find ourselves and all these beautiful things. This is the point,
Mm.
you know.
Yeah. So when I was listening to you talk about so emptiness
Mhm.
is up to just now, when I would hear emptiness, I would just picture like the concept of emptiness, and I'm thinking, well, I've felt that before. Yeah, I can't.
Mm.
And there's emptiness, and then there's life or whatever.
Hmm.
I think
Hmm.
what you're saying is that there's not like someone who can do anything with these senses. Is that what you're like in it?
Of
In
course,
it,
there's only,
go
yeah,
ahead.
there's only the seen, the heard. That's all there is sense perceptions. That which is perceived, but there's no perceiver. There's only the perceived. And that doesn't have to be conceptually understood. It's sort of an energetic intuition that sort of integrates into, life. Um, we can't conceptually understand emptiness or fullness or any of it.
Yeah, I get like what I'm getting is that
Mhm.
this manager doesn't have to do anything with it.
Mm-mm,
Or
mm-mm.
like you said, it's meaningless in that it doesn't have to be, I don't know, like fabricated, modified. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah,
And that's what we're trained to do, right? Is to
yeah,
see something and just, you know what I
yeah,
mean? Um,
yeah. The doer, the claimer.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what parts in focusing, what they do when
Mm,
every time I focus, something will come up, and it's like this protector that is, um for example, and I think that you can resonate with this because you've said it before, that to speak, public speaking in front of
Mm,
a camera, and I've had a really hard time with that, and I've listened to the parts that tell me, like, you need to be quiet, and no, you can't take up the space. When I'm in class, I'm I have a lot to say, and but there's these parts that are keeping me from it, and it's my conditioning. I know that, you
mm.
know, but now I'm thinking that, or now I'm finding that that part is, it really doesn't have any meaning. It doesn't need to do that keeping me quiet thing.
Mhm.
That
Yeah,
makes
and it doesn't need to not do that either.
It doesn't need to not do it. Yeah.
And that's actually more obvious because it is doing that. You see what I mean?
I'll explain that. Yeah, explain. That
So
sounds
it
good.
doesn't need to protect, but
Uh-huh.
it is. It is protecting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it obviously doesn't need to not protect because that's what it's doing.
It is.
Right.
Yeah.
Or when it arises. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
What did you
so
just say?
so the story that like it shouldn't be this way
Yeah.
doesn't really make any sense, does it? Because it is this way.
Yeah. See how it's so much like, because, to kind of give it space and say, you can just be, you are already, and you can be as you are. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like it's a letting go.
Yeah.
It's like, just being, like, it wasn't until recently that I was like, oh, so that's what being with what is. It's that. It's like, just, I
Yeah.
don't have to agree and I don't have to disagree. I
Yeah.
just can, let this be.
Yeah. It's nuanced and subtle, and it's a natural thing that can happen. And it can feel like you're doing it or noticing it or whatever, but that's just another thing that's arising, and it's okay. Claiming doesn't mean you're an entity. You've never been an entity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's what we see is like there's no one here and there never has been. And there's no one anywhere.
Mm.
But there's another voice, another part that is the last part that we see. And that's the one that pretends to stand back and observe everything, you know,
Yes.
and
Hmm.
says, oh, that part's trying to protect me, that part's doing this. But that is also part, the one that pretends to stand apart.
Yes. Yeah.
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 And that's when we see through the self, that's what we see is we see it's just a thought, innocently. That's the king protector.
Yeah.
Um, Because if that one is seen through, then there's no hope in a way, right?
Yeah.
There's only what arises and no one to stand apart to manipulate it, look at it, analyze it, and know it. And that's all we've been running from, so to say, which is fine.
Mm.
That's allowed. Some people live their whole lives self-identified, and it's fine. A
Mm.
life that is identified is equally as beautiful as one, that isn't. It's all life.
Yeah. It doesn't feel right though. Like what you've just
Mm.
described, I think is where I'm at right now, because going through all this shadow work, and, working on myself and working with other people, like, uh, there is this, it's boiled down to this. There are other parts, but there's one manager that is standing back and looking and saying, oh, okay, you know what I mean? And so, and you're right, like, to let go of that
Mhm.
is like the plunge into the, you know.
Yeah. And if there's a thought that says, well, what am I going to do about that? That's that voice,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
and there can be compassion for that voice.
Yep. Yeah.
So to this day, that voice is still here for me, so to say, put it in a story. It
Mhm.
won't go away. It's here for a reason. It helps you make sandwiches and plan birthday parties and all that stuff. Um, but you can see that it is empty. And when you see it's empty, you, for at least for me, I could have self-compassion when I never could before. I couldn't get anywhere close to it.
Mm.
But it's like a baby. You see a baby's empty, it has no agenda. When you see yourself that way, you can have compassion.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
anything that arises is, this mystery, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and having no agenda um,
Mm.
is, there's a lot of deprogramming to
Yeah.
agenda. Um,
So it's not about not having an agenda. It's just seeing that the agenda is empty, like of an entity. Basically, there's nothing to stand apart to do that. So it
mm,
doesn't matter what the agenda might be. It's empty. It's innocent, you know.
mm,
It's like when you when I scare my cat and it jumps. It's the same. It's just a natural, spontaneous, effortless reaction
mhm.
to life, to the conditioning. Empty, like a haunted house.
I feel like in my work with people, it's been so much, I can be there for them. So, and it's less, it was at first very difficult because I had an agenda
Right.
to fix or to change or to
Ah.
stand back, separate myself, right,
Mhm.
and do something to fix it, to change it. And so to just be with it, just like that's the parallel that I'm getting, because now I don't, I actually will work with someone and I'll feel like I'll just do this just to make like a note, like, okay,
Mm.
that's coming up. I'm gonna say hello to that wanting to fix and help, I mean,
Mhm.
but to just that can be there,
Mhm.
but it just feels very similar to what you just said. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I went through all that too.
like that makes
Wanting
sense.
to help and fix and thinking that somehow I know what's going on and I need to impart that to somebody, you know.
Yeah, and
It,
not
it,
knowing.
there's good intentions there. There is.
Yeah.
But there tends to be a humbling, a humility as we mature and then you see where somebody is and you're like, oh, I used to be there. And then you're like, oh, well, they're perfect where they are because I wouldn't have been able to intuit otherwise without going through that. Like I
Mm,
needed to make those mistakes and so to say.
yeah.
Hmm.
Well, and what's coming now is like there isn't anything to fix, right?
Oh, absolutely not. No. Of course, preferences, societal standards, all these things are also free expressions.
Hmm.
Yeah. For example, I have like low blood sugar sometimes, and I've gained more weight than I probably should, and I can feel it. You know what I mean? For example, so I went on a diet, um, and I've heard people say, "Well, who is there to do that?" Well, the same person there is to go make a sandwich. Give me a break.
Mm,
Like the body will go do what it needs to do. It always has. It's
hmm.
just that claiming uh mechanism. It's just seen for what it is. It doesn't have to change.
Mm.
It's expressing this way because it wants to, like art, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. That is very I don't know what it is, but it I resonate with
Mm.
expression that like just to these things arise like I'll just take a walk and
Hmm. Hmm.
you just take a walk
You
because
can't, it's senseless. You can't make sense out of why.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because is the answer to everything. Just because.
Yeah. 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 And I imagine that, and I realize I'm analyzing this, but how can you not, if you're going to talk about it, it requires some, I don't know,
Yeah.
but it just, I don't know, it seems like there is something's clicking here,
Mhm.
not like, yeah, that manager is yeah, I mean, I'm getting a different feel about it.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you may notice, and it may be in hindsight that you
Mm,
notice this more, but the mechanism of claiming the identity, it doesn't want to die, and it will throw anything at you that it thinks will interest you, so to say.
mm,
Um, for example, the story that one day I'll wake up
yeah.
and you're like, yeah, one day I will wake up. Let's go do something.
Mm,
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's beautiful. And of course there's deepening and process um and all of that maturing in life. But that's just a thought, you know.
yeah.
And it's hard to hear. It's hard to see what that really is because we want what we want and we want this to be better than it is. So
Yeah.
we have hope and tell stories and um with the black and white thinking, we think we need to have one or the other, but it's not like that. It becomes a beautiful, like a parent, like you said,
Mm,
allowing the child to play pretend, as long as
mm,
it doesn't go too far. So it's sort of just a beautiful balance
mm,
um, between the sobriety of seeing a thought for a thought, seeing the nature of that, seeing that nothing exists but this alive instant that's already gone.
mm,
Um, and the expression of relative play and life and doing what you want to do and, you know,
mm,
having interests and even wanting to help people. Nothing is demonized. Nothing. It's all allowed, all included. Um, so I think that black and white thinking just really calms down. And then there's a gap, a seeming gap. It's impossible to describe, but
mm,
between that which I am, which is this unnameable thing, and the expression, the mirror, the reflection in the world.
mm,
And that includes the body, the mind, and all content. So
mm,
it's kind of like the identity or the claiming takes a big step back, you know, and then all that you took yourself to be is the content. It's not pretending to stand back with you and saying, I am Paula, I must, blah, blah, blah.
mm. Yeah, that there's a sense of relief, I think that, you know, I it doesn't stay, but I can feel that from time to time, like,
Hmm.
oh, like,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we are all trained to be these managers, right? And
Hmm.
trying to manage and suffering
Hmm.
like hell because we can't. I guess maybe if I could, I wouldn't be here talking to you, right? If I were, and there's that part that, well, you could have been a better manager. Like that was my whole life was like, no, you gotta be better. You've got to do it better. There's
Yeah.
some, you know, there's something wrong with the way you're being, you know. Um, and the hope that that I would figure it out. Like I know now and it was very sad when I realized, and I don't know if I completely realized, but even just to get a sniff of, oh no, I can't manage,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't manage anything.
Yeah, you can feel that in your body. Like, oh, I can't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And there's I think that's the way I connected to people was I was a helper. I'm
Mhm.
people would say, "Oh, you're so maternal." You know? Um,
Well, that doesn't go away. I mean,
no, it won't because I love people and I love to, but I kind of think of it as I help people to be with themselves. Do you know what I mean? To just to
hmm,
be and to not do that managing
yeah.
fight, you know, like that's um but
Well,
it's ironic because it's what I'm trying it actually I think it helps because I'm doing that at the
yeah,
same
yeah.
time, right? That it's not like I'm all settled with that and then I'm
Hmm.
around helping people. I'm just kind of being with them in this and it's helping me though too. It's like it's real.
Hmm. Yeah, that's how it seems here too. Like
Yeah.
something will come up and I'll make a video about it and then I might listen to something I said one day when I'm in a bad mood and I'm like, "Oh yeah." You know what I mean? So
Mm.
the mind it likes to color everything in black and white and it's never it's I mean it's shades of gray and all the colors and
Yeah, it's so narrow, isn't it?
yeah.
Very narrow. Yeah.
It's a survival mechanism.
Hmm. Yeah, it's the one that is seeming to stay right now, like it's
Seeming is the key word.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So does it need to go is the question. What would it mean if it went, whatever that would mean? I mean, what must it do?
yeah. I don't know. That's a
It's
good
a
question.
very limited automatic thing. What can it do?
Nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
resistance is futile, you know.
And it struggles. It thinks that it has to struggle, that it has to, and then I see that I'm like, oh, it's like you're um, trying to stop the air or something. You know what I mean? Like, um,
Yeah, it makes it feel real. If I have a problem and I'm solving that problem, I'm real.
yeah, yeah, it's a way to
Exist.
keep it. Yeah, exist. Yeah, yeah. And it's funny because I was in a focusing session where I was the focuser and I was with a partner who was guiding me and in a practice situation and I was um I felt like I was holding a marionette, with that wood and that it felt so uncomfortable to hold the and I was the marionette too.
Oh
And
wow.
so I was it was kind of like a takeover and like it's a way that this manager part like wants to control
Hmm.
and but I wanted to let go and and when I did it felt it was afraid that the marionette would just crash to the ground and not be able to stand up on its own.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, and but there was this like it was such a conflict of I have to control, but I don't. I'm so tired of it. It's like hurting my hands to hold
Yes.
on so tight. And so that's like where I am right now, I think, you know?
Eventually the suffering overrides the fear. So we eventually face the fear because we want to, because we're completely exhausted.
Mm,
That's how it felt here energetically. The last thing, one of the last things I said before the seeking fell was, I can't do this. And that was like an ultimate statement. Like, I meant, I can't do it. I'll never be able to do it, period.
mm,
And as soon as I accepted that, there was an acceptance. It was like the clouds opened up. And I
mm,
realized that, there's, of course, you can't do it because there's no one to do it.
mm.
What are you trying to do anyway? That's just a thought, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. Why am I holding on so tight to those puppet strings?
Mm.
But it's almost like, well, what will I don't know what to do if I let go. Like then what will I have to do?
Right.
Nothing.
Well, you don't have to know because this is spontaneous, automatic. It's living already. Like
Yeah,
what I just said is gone. Now this. It's this dynamic, alive flow, effortless.
yeah, yeah. I feel that a little bit, you know.
Mhm.
But it's and you can't make it happen, you know.
You can sensitively notice, and one of the things that stunned me was I realized that this wasn't a state that was going to be sustained.
Mm,
I thought it would be like equanimity 24/7 or peace or transcendence or whatever word, that it
mhm.
would just be better me all the time.
Yep.
And it's just taking the backward step to put it in a poetic way. And then that which arises is allowed already. Like it's too quick. It's already happened. Like that's how fast. There's no time to reflect. There's no, we get the experience of remembering and projecting, but those only happen now. There's no actual time for subject object, actually. So
Yeah.
I feel like there was a noticing, calming, relaxing into the uncomfortableness, whenever there were times of inquiry or practice, not all the time,
Mm,
but that fear barrier is what you were describing, what Angelo describes, the marionette being scared
mm,
and you don't even have to approach that or face that. It does itself. You can just notice, you can just watch it happen, just sit back and watch it happen.
mm. Yeah. It's funny because that part like wanted to let go to see what would happen, you know.
Mhm.
Yet it was still, it like let go and then it like grabbed hold again.
Mhm. Mhm.
That marionette's gonna fall.
Same here. Same
Yeah.
thing happened. It felt like almost like a whiplash, or like a falling feeling that can happen for a second, and the strange surrealness. Like I don't, it's unknowable. So
Mm,
I can't go there.
yeah. And that happens to me in meditation.
Mhm.
That jolt.
Mhm.
Oh, wait, no, you're still like the identity's still here. Where do you think you're going? That's what it feels like. It's like, but it literally will jolt me.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I remember. And I promise you, you will laugh on the other side, so to say, because it's this. It really is no different. It's no different. You just see it the way, you see it with a little bit more clarity and sobriety.
Mm,
With emptiness, mixed in the ingredients in the recipe, it gets to come in too. Um, there's nothing to fear, other than the terrifying nature of life anyway, but it's always been that way. The unpredictable chaoticness of it.
yeah.
But you don't have to fear the loss of something you never had.
Explain that just a bit.
Mhm. So there's never been anyone here.
Mm.
Identity is a play, and it's always been allowed to play.
Yeah.
And it'll continue to play. We just see it for what it is. That's all.
Yeah. So you're just not believing it. Is that right? You're not believing that that's
I would say
that there's.
yes, in a way, because but before when we're identified, we believe that this entity, am doing all these things, or choosing not to do certain things.
Mm.
And that's just not what's happening. That's never been what's happening. And um, it can be difficult to first see that, with the fear barrier and everything. It can be really funny too, also disappointing, lots of different emotions. But we have the capacity to feel it and we have the capacity to integrate it into everyday normal, Paula and Leela life. And um, yeah, it's funny. It's like realizing that there's no Santa Claus,
Mm. Yeah.
which opens there's space for compassion and, you get to look upon everything again and say, wow, there really is no right and wrong. You know,
Mm.
it really is only freedom playing, So, and then you get to hear like Ramana Maharshi and yeah, whoever your favorite speakers, and you can actually hear what they're saying now, like,
Yeah.
oh,
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Where before it was just so, it would get me angry. I'd be like, what do you mean?
right.
You know? But now it is there's more like clarity, but
Mm.
um
You're this that has no prerequisites. There's no requirements. You are right there, and right where you will be, where you've always been.
mm. Well, it's so good to talk to somebody and not have them, even people that I in my class, like in my immediate area, people don't know what non-duality is. They don't know that they are like me. I had no idea that I was as repressed as I was, you know,
Right.
that I wasn't aware of a single thought or feeling or anything. I just, you know, I thought that I was like that marionette walking around,
Yeah.
Um, but to be able to, because people are afraid of awakening, I
Oh
think,
yeah.
and, we're afraid of what we don't understand clearly, but that people will, because there are times when I'm like, well, am I like, have I lost it or like, you know what I mean? Everything I know to be true is not, like, and having going through like, oh, that relationship, to see like the realness of it and what I wanted it to be. That's what we do, right? We paint things
Mm.
the way, and
Yeah.
I had to do that as a kid a lot, in order to survive.
Of course.
And
Yeah.
that continued into my, and that's why I left my job. I was thinking, this is not what I was hoping that it was going to be. It's just not. And so, that was when this all kind of started.
Yeah.
Uh,
No, you're not alone. And I live in Mississippi, so, I'm the weirdo.
so you get that too, yeah, like,
Mhm. Thank God there's a whole community, Facebook or whatever social media you consume. Um, that's why I make content, because I can't talk about this stuff with anybody.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's an outlet for me.
yeah. Well, you get to share it, right? You get to,
Hmm?
you feel compelled to.
Yeah. I get to say it's not what you think it is. And anybody who wants to partake, they can. It's
Yeah,
definitely not for those who don't resonate, you know.
that's for sure. That's for sure. Yeah. Yeah. And then I get excited when someone will, not that I don't, I used to walk around talking about this. I don't anymore. But
Mm,
sometimes something will come up and I'm grateful when someone will argue with me even. Because most of the time it's just like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, are you,
yeah, I've just learned to keep my mouth
yeah, you have to keep
closed. Every once in a while, I'll drop some little seeds here and there, but it's just for my own entertainment at this point. I know that
Yeah.
nobody's listening, which is fine. We're all in different places, and
Well, and I have my two daughters who are adults, and one of them has her own child now, and so that's when I find that but it's funny, they're doing a lot. At first, my daughter would roll her eyes, and I wasn't saying anything of I wasn't trying to be a guru or anything, or a teacher. I would just say something that was felt like I should say it. You know what I mean? Like supportive or whatever. And she used to roll her eyes, and she doesn't anymore. It's fun,
yeah.
really funny. Yeah, she's listening. So I think it is me, not like it's just what comes to say rather than,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, that tends to deepen and evolve, the way we express and how
mm,
and when we share and things like that.
mm, yeah.
I think I'm going to stop the recording now.
Okay.